folks, Mark here, Complete Ponds. Today in this video, we're really going to talk about what is a bog filter slash wetland filter. They're really one and the same. You'll see both terms out there on the internet. What is a bog? What's the science behind it? How does it work? And why is it so effective for filtration? Why does it do so well in keeping a pond clear without using a lot of chemicals? So let's back up. The first step, what is a bog? What is a wetland? A bog or a wetland is a type of filter, so we're cleaning the water. It's a type of filter where you're using rock, gravel, and plants. And I know it sounds very simple, but really those are the main elements: rock, plants, and the third thing, bacteria. Bacteria is key in a wetland filter. So a wetland filter is basically an area either in the pond or in this video here, outside the pond. It's an area where rock and gravel are piled in a pond. Water is basically percolated up through all the rock and the gravel, goes by the plants that are planted on the top, and then cascades out. In our situation, it cascades out the waterfall. So it's basically acting as a header pool. So the science, what is it? The rock and the gravel. Very important to have a wetland filter with rock and gravel. The rock and the gravel act for surface area for bacteria to grow on. All natural ponds have beneficial bacteria. It's Mother Nature at work. Beneficial bacteria, it breaks down all the nitrogen in the water. What does nitrogen do? What does fish waste do? It causes algae. You gotta remember, folks, algae is a plant. So I want all the nutrients in the water not to go to the algae plant, I want them to go to the pond plants, the bog plants. So bacteria is growing on every square inch of rock and gravel. And you'll see in this video, so we go from large cobble to medium cobble to 1.5-inch drain, all the way down to pea gravel. For about the top foot is pea gravel. All that surface area of rock is area for bacteria to grow. So that's the science. You got all that bacteria. What's the other half? The pond plants. The pond plants are actually directly planted into that pea gravel, and the gravel acts as the planting media. So as the plants grow and as the roots go down and as they mature and they get bigger, all they're doing is absorbing all that nitrogen out of that water. All that nutrient out of the water is going to the pond plants. So now we have two things. We have all the bacteria and the plants working to keep the pond clean. Size of the wetland filter, how big should it be? Man, there's so many different formulas out there. I typically go for about 1/3 of the size of the pond, and that's the square footage. That's not always the case. Sometimes you just don't have the room, so sometimes you have to make it smaller. Either way, there's still an effective form of filtration, no matter the size. Obviously, since it's natural, the bigger the wetland, the better results you're gonna have. So again, kind of recapping, how does it work? The water is actually pumped in from your pumps down to the bottom. There's a series of equipment that goes along the bottom of the bog, and we can really save that for another video. But the water percolates through that equipment, up through all the various levels of rock, up through the plants, out of the plants, back down into the pond. What's the maintenance on the bog? Really, the only maintenance on the bog is cutting back the plants and thinning them out. I have a bog at my house. I literally probably cut back my plants every 6 to 8 weeks. It is so thick and heavy. Actually, one time I actually had a leak in my bog because it dammed up so thick, the water was actually going out backwards instead of down into the pond. But really cutting back the plants and thinning the plants out. There are special components in a bog. Again, we'll save that for another video, where you can actually kind of clean a bog out a little bit. You don't have to shovel the gravel out, but you rinse it from the top down, and then you have a chamber in the bog where you put like a sump pump, a submersible pump. You run that submersible pump with the hose up out of the pond. You run it to your grass, your trees, it's all nutrients. And you pump that water out as you're rinsing it down from the top. As you're rinsing it down from the top, you're stirring up the gravel, you're getting that particulate to kind of float, and it's getting pumped out. Normally, that type of application is done once a year, every 2 years. Honestly, I haven't done mine in like 3 or 4 years, but they say once a year to every 2 years. But your biggest thing is cutting back the plants. And as you cut back the plants, you're promoting them to grow even faster and thicker and heavier, which is what you want. Because again, as those plants grow faster and thicker and heavier, you're pulling more nutrients out of the water. So that's really the science of a bog. That's why they work so well. And if you do it right, I can almost guarantee you, you're gonna have great success in keeping your water clean. For more videos, check out our website, www.completeponds.com. Go to our YouTube channel. We're always bringing nature to your backyard.